Good morning and welcome back to Darpan, and we will continue our conversation on the transformations mirror. We spoke about how talent strategy completely transforms the way your transformation actually happens in the organization. And without a well defined talent strategy, it is impossible to do any transformation. You may think as leaders, I want to grow, I want to create a $1 billion organization, I want to create a large organization, I want to grow very fast. But if your people are left behind, if they don't feel they are included, if they don't feel they are part of the whole chain, whole game, no transformation is going to ever even start. Forget culminate. Therefore, talent strategy forms a very important part of the whole thing. It's about aligning and creating a guided coalition among the whole organization who will help you achieve what you have actually envisaged for the organization, short term or long term, doesn't matter. Now, while we are at the talent strategy transformations mirror, I also spoke about many transformation active mirrors that we will discuss before we culminate that into a consolidated mirror. Today we'll conclude the talent strategy. I'll do a little recap, and then we will form a kind of a framework that how this talent strategy functions to actually help you transform. Okay, so as we proceed on conversing and concluding this conversation on talent strategy, I will do a little recap. So what we spoke about in last few conversations was that how actually it's a continuity paradox. What does that mean? एक तरफ हम डिसकंटिन्यूअस डिसप्रपोर्शनेट इन्फ्लुएंस डिसप्रपोर्शनेट इम्पैक्ट डिस कंटिन्यूअस इम्पैक्ट एक डिसरप्टिव इम्पैक्ट की बात कर रहे हैं ऑन वन साइड वी आर डूइंग दैट एंड ऑन द अदर साइड we are saying that we should be having a continuous internal flow. It looks a paradox, but it's actually the right thing. For me to create a discontinuous impact in my growth outside, I must have a continuous flow of people, process, connection, emotions inside. If you're not continuous inside, you can't move discontinuously outside. So it's almost like you're very calm, and suddenly there is a flight, and all of us have to take the flight together. So therefore, this discontinuous path cannot function without a continuous flow. So it looks like a paradox. It is not a paradox. So we spoke about that if we have to really make this engine work, we have to really ensure this the growth engine functions. We need a buildable architecture. It cannot just be philosophy that we should have a discontinuous and a continuous, etc., etc. It needs to have a definite architecture for us to be able to bring about the engine of transformation rather than just my feelings of transformation, my motivational speeches. Okay, so we discussed briefly last time about how four drivers and a four-part flywheel work as a transformation engine for growth. So, what were the four drivers? If you remember, one was signal, second was skill, third was mobility, and the fourth was story. What is signal? Signal is primarily how leadership functions, how leadership is able to create an impact in the minds and hearts of people, especially managers. So, engagement of the large transformation always begins with the leader. So, because employees read the future of their managers or leaders' behavior far more than the official communications. So, How are you signaling as a leader really falls on how are you actually trying to see this future. If the leader gets anxious, on one side is giving a beautiful speech, on the other side, the meeting is anxious, he's evasive, or he's simply absent, he's not there. The signal is organization is right now in trouble. Regardless of whatever newsletter you have sent, regardless of whatever announcements you have made, it does not make any difference. The signal is organization is right now in trouble. So the work here is what? The work here is equipping leaders at every level to send consistent, credible signals through the uncertainty. Executives through assessments, coaching, dedicated change forums, directors, managers through structured programs uh, must send consistent signals. So, stage one, the first level of pyramid, first layer of pyramid is actually signal. So, the idea is not to script the optimism, not to script the optimism. It is to make sure that across hundreds of conversations, thousands of interactions, people hear a consistent, honest, steady message rather than hundreds, rather than some contradictory ones. Your eyes also speak a lot. Your lips don't. Eyes speak. So if in a meeting you're feeling disconnected, you're carrying that energy in the meeting, that energy will get passed on to all your juniors who are actually looking at you, and therefore the signal cannot be inconsistent, contradictory to what you have sent in the morning as a motivational newsletter to everybody or a message to everybody. So behavioral signal is step number one. The second driver is the skill. So in a transformation, usually we tend to usually because it is a disruption, we tend to slow down the growth or the promotions or increments of the people typically. So how do I keep people motivated? Despite giving the right signal, people will still need that motivation, will still need that honest trigger. And how do I grow? How do I see myself in this whole story, not the grow? How do I see myself in the whole story? So the honest growth offer is not usually promotion because that will look like a dishonest one because you're just trying to you're not capable of doing it as an organization, but you're just trying to package it for me so people read it. That is a part of a signal that I'm sending to the organization. If you're honest, honest growth offer is capability and not the title. So capability becomes a tangible feature. Capability is something the organization can give generously even when headcount and the promotion budgets are locked. For example, you can run a quarterly workshop on AI adoption. You can do a how do I grow this organization in the difficult times. You can very focusedly, if you start working on each and every person while you are conscious about um, the closures on some tangible outputs, this will become a very tangible signal to the organization. So therefore, the design lesson here is twofold. Make growth relevant. That means जनरली मैंने कोई ऐसा सेशन नहीं कर दिया है जो मैं सोच रहा हूं कि मेरा डिसरप्शन होने वाला है, जो मैं सोच रहा हूं कि इट इज गोइंग टू गो टू आई हैव टू गो टू दिस न्यू इंडस्ट्री नाउ, they should feel कि ऐसे generally it is not time being spent with the people, it is actually tangible connect projected growth which is of capability which is relevant to visible future that was announced in the newsletter. So whatever signals you're giving, either through physical interactions or through continuous conversations, if you are also connecting the skill development, capability development around that, it looks quite relevant. So make growth relevant, tie it visibly to where the business is heading, and make growth attainable, achievable inside the role someone already holds. So progress does not depend on promotion that is not coming. Progress depends upon in their heads to the growth that you've given to them in the form of capability. What is driver number three? Mobility. So a talent marketplace, create a talent marketplace. Open up all the options that are now happening where employees build profiles, apply for internal roles, and take on. It can happen in small organization also. It can happen in big organization also. Don't think this is only possible as an internal job posting IJP that we call it usually in the HR language. Can happen only in the large organization where some Southeast Asia opening is coming or a global opportunity is coming. No, it is a practice that you make. You say, okay, now these are the various openings in my organization today. You can apply for it from inside. Of course, you need to create a process around it, you need to create a system around it, how this will happen, but that needs to happen. So turn development into visible opportunity. आपने ऊपर development किया, उसको visible opportunity में convert किया internally only. As if you develop and there is no opportunity, people move out. Because it is almost like now I want to use this development somewhere in my organization, but there is no opportunity to do it. So therefore, development has to be followed by a tangible project. And therefore, the whole design of this framework, these drivers, need to be well done before you implement. Okay. So it is also a driver that most concretely proves their organization's commitment towards your growth, while they are also connected to the disruption. They know what is happening in the world. They are very worried about you. It shows your deep concern. It's an important part of the whole transformation strategy. Okay, so now last driver is the story. That is communication and engagement. Continuous communication, continuous engagement. Even the strongest program fails if people don't understand or believe in it. Strongest. Communication is not the wrapping paper applied at the end. It is the part of the engine itself. If you treat communication as a strategic lever from the start, whether it is through newsletters, whether it is through video podcasts, spotlights, participant testimonials, targeted outreach, some external coaching involved, it keeps program visible and continually reframes. It is not another HR initiative layered on the top of an already stressful change. No, it is the narrative goes, the path forward is only through this. So signal earns belief. If you remember this sentence I spoke before ending my last time's conversation, signal earns belief, skill builds capability, mobility provides opportunity, and story makes all the three visible. So, belief almost, if you build the belief and there is no opportunity, it feels hollow. An opportunity without story goes unnoticed. and none of it lands without a credible signal from the top. So, capability without opportunity is burden. So, therefore, you have to act on give good signals continuously so that belief is earned, build capability of people to give skill, provide opportunity to use the skill that you have built, and ensure that the communication is consistent, continuous. Now, a leader at the top, and I've seen many of them, is so much burdened by his own pressure that is unable to handle, his mind is unable to handle all the four drivers. And if a leader at the top can't handle four drivers, it is worried about his personal issues, personal life. He has anger issues. He's very frustrated all the time. He wants to create certain things. He sees something happening and just can't control his mind, and he just start disrupts completely. These leaders cannot hold the ship. They just can't. You need to understand, for holding the ship, you need to hold yourself first. You need to be clear yourself first. You need to be able to handle uncertainty first. You need to handle ambiguity first. If you can't and you wish, oh my god, this is too much for me, I'm going to run away, or I'm going to close my eyes and watch for it to help on its own, then you are not a leader who can. Then you can be a good follower. Just sit behind and stay and don't act, come in front. Get a person who can do this for you. So, signal, skill, mobility, and story. They all four form the driving wheels for an organization of the car which actually you are driving right now. So you don't have a one steering wheel now. Single driver, four steering wheels. All four need to work together. Okay. So now comes the four practices that keep it running. So we have initiated something in terms of drivers. Okay, let me write it for you so that it's easier. For drivers, signal, skill, ability, story. And these four drivers are actually the carriers of change. So if these four drivers don't function well, you cannot begin any transformation story. But what are the sustainers of change? What will sustain change? So now comes an important part, that how do I sustain this change? So designing the engine is the first part of the whole game. Sustaining it is like where most of the programs quietly die. Why is it so? Because किसी चीज को स्टार्ट करना समटाइम्स सब कुछ डिफिकल्ट होता है, लेकिन किसी चीज को स्टार्ट करना फिर भी इजी है, लेकिन उसको सस्टेन करना फॉर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम डिफिकल्ट होता है. सो एज अ लॉन्च enthusiast, You may start something with a lot of vigor, a lot of excitement, but enthusiasm tends to fade very fast. So engagement is almost always highest at the launch when curiosity and novelty are fresh. The challenge is really how do I hold that energy once business demands take over. Four maintenance practices will keep the wheel turning. So don't hold everything onto you. Build some processes to ensure the wheel is turning. Otherwise, you will go back to your regular processes the moment the vigor and excitement of change is gone. So, first practice is all the initiatives are usually driven by HR, but they need to be held in all the cross functional teams. So, talent programs, engagement programs, skill programs, development programs, they cannot be just siloed inside HR. They need to have a practice of involving everyone in the organization to together do this together. So programs usually die inside HR because there is no buy-in from the functional teams. It should look like a L&D program that I started in the skill development, capability development is a kind of a KRA for their managers. Inside their managers and goal sheet it should be kept. The whole business needs to speak the same language even on a regular pressure days. So suppose we feel that we have to continue the development of the people, capability development of the people, skill development of the people. This cannot just sit in silos in nature. It has to happen as a part of the whole business, not just one function. So a majority of learning and development practices and practitioners now expect that cross-functional ownership has to be there. Otherwise, their L&D program looks like a university inside the school inside the organization, which will have a मसल मेमोरी कि जो स्कूल में पढ़ा था कभी भी ना कंपनी में यूज नहीं हुआ मेरा. आप वॉट एवर डेवलपमेंट यू हैव डन वो तो जस्ट एचआर इनिशिएटिव है, वो तो एल एंड डी इनिशिएटिव है, उसका देयर इज नो कनेक्शन टू द वर्क दैट यू डू. So unless and until there is a ownership from your team, from your people, from your manager, people tend to feel that this is just the HR initiative. So cross-functional involvement is the first important engagement practice that we need to develop while we are building the drivers. So let me write that for you. So what are the carriers of change? Sorry, sustainers of change. The first is cross functional engagement. Second, again, an important part. So, learning fatigue can set in very fast. Very fast. You start something with a lot of excitement and it just fizzles out. Consistency on learning is more important than what you're learning. Consistency on learning is more important than what you're learning. So, a fatigue can set fast. Development competes with reorganizations. Development competes with shifting priorities. Development competes with everyday work pressure. So every day, whenever it happens with me so often, today morning Darpan has to be done. There are so many things going on in the business life right now. I'm working at the seeker's place, at transorganization, at home, at so many things that I feel that is this conduction of Darpan important, urgent? Is it so critical? The idea is that if consistency does not stay, development fatigue sets in very fast. So certain things need to be made as a part of your process and strategy, part of your practice, part of your ritual. Every day you're competing among two priorities. At any point of time, you have an option to do A or B. Typically, you choose what your heart wants to do, not what is right to do. Now, I cannot expect people of my organization to be so enriching in their mind that they choose what is right to do. Lord Krishna himself said, प्रजा कभी भी धर्म का पालन नहीं करती, वो सिर्फ राजा का अनुकरण करते हैं. A leader or people of the organization, employees of the organization, citizens of the country do not follow what is right. They just do what you do. So, therefore, at the top, we need to do something interesting to so that this fatigue doesn't set in very fast. This fatigue moves out. How do I answer this question that how do I actually ensure that fatigue is not being set? The answer is range and rhythm. So, full length courses alongside bite sized options like podcasts, short videos, articles, applied learning that doubles as real work, but all scheduled around business cycles rather than against them, where managers actively participate. So the creative design has to be such a way that people should feel that learning is part of my work and not competition to my work. Learning is a collaboration to my work and not competition to my work. If you cannot do that, you will start feeling disconnected after some time when the priorities at work will increase. So, design of development has to be anti fatigue. I think you understood. So, design of development has to be anti fatigue, anti fatigue design. If you don't have an anti fatigue design, just you tend to just feel the change, but you feel this development is a waste of it. So, therefore, frequency has to be very well set. The creativity comes over there only. Frequency has to be very well set in such a way people don't feel fatigued. Number one. Number two, people feel that it's a part of their work cycle, like another meeting that they have to go for, which will enhance their work or move their work forward. This development is kind of an important part in the whole chain and not a competition to it. Now, the moment you do that, you have actually won the game. So, people are developing, they are building, they're developing, they're building, they're developing, they're building, they're developing, they're building. That's how it is happening. So, that's the second important part of the design. So consistency will come only if you have a anti-fatigue design while you have a very cross-functional involvement as well. So third consistency driver or a lever is embedded accountability. Now, awareness won't drive adoption only. Leaders must treat development as a business critical, with participation written into their own goal sheets, the narratives and the tools to champion it. Adoption never spreads evenly. Some functions race ahead, some functions are left behind, but that is only dependent upon which leader has considered this to be an important part. Like I said, in the anti-fatigue design, it has to be part of your work rhythm. Similarly, learning has to become part of your embedded accountability as a leader, and therefore, it will also become an embedded accountability for the people. So, for example, there can be a two-pronged approach, and this has to come from leadership, not an HR function who's sitting aside on the side. Either HR is the part of the leadership, or or they need to be part of the whole. They need to be part of the whole game along with every functional leader. So it can be twofold. One, celebrate the functions which are ahead, sends out a message that this is important. Number two, apply targeted support to those who are left behind. They need help. So again, people feel if organization is putting a dedicated resource, time, effort toward this thing, it must be important. So therefore, the larger the adoption, the larger the adoption will mean there is larger accountability. Or vice versa, you can say, larger the accountability, you will feel larger adoption. So that's how the whole embedded accountability function thing works. I will just put it down here. Next is continuous marketing. Now, like the communication above, the storytelling, the continuous marketing of the story, it has to be done the way we do an external marketing campaign, we have to do the similar internal marketing campaign. Sometimes external marketing campaign can be targeted for the internal marketing also, and this needs to be done. It should be continuous. It can't be just at the launch. The momentum will dip if the marketing will stop. So you should just continuously have different marketing strategies to continuously keep on talking about whatever transformation you are doing. So it is a game of starting well and continuing well. So you have four drivers, and there are sustainers. These are driving elements, they're sustaining elements. Now, if you cannot do these two things well, all your initiatives will either die or they will not be able to build that rhythm. So, how do I start? So what I told you right now was what to do. Next question is how do I start? What is the sequence? What comes first? What comes second? What comes third? So to the in the launch stage, don't switch on all of the four drivers at once. ऐसा मत कर देना एक तरह सिग्नल देना शुरू कर दिया, स्किल डेवलपमेंट कैंपेन शुरू कर दी, मोबिलिटी भी शुरू कर दिया, स्टोरी भी शुरू कर दी. डोंट डू दैट. It will spread the attention thin. Go slow. Go slow. Because if you start all the four engines together, it will produce more noise than belief. So start with signal. Number one, leaders must be credible and aligned before anything else will land. Leaders must be credible and aligned before anything else lands. A strong program announced by anxious leadership amplifies anxiety. So therefore, first first win has to happen at the top, in your mind, in your clarity, in what you need to do, why you need to do, how you need to do. Start with a signal. Leaders must be credible and aligned before anything else will land. Okay. Number two, then comes the skill. Once your signaling is proper, then enter very slowly with the skill. It to create, what will skill do? To create real, visible capability people can feel themselves gaining, not you pushing. Stop using the word I did this, I did this, I feel this, I want this. That's a very, 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 very strong internal I. Just calm it down. You have done nothing, you're just playing your role. So start with signal, get your calmness there, take a deep breath usually, do a meditation once in a while, or go and spend time with yourself. Come back in the office, in the organization with an empty mind and not with a cluttered heart and cluttered mind. Then comes skill, is where you create real, visible capability where people can feel themselves gaining. Then comes mobility. If mobility will come before skill, you will not know what to do with it. But just after you know that skill is being now developed, many people have started talking about it. Introduce mobility. That will convert capability into concrete opportunity and demonstrate return to the person. You don't need a return outside to the person. That's okay. And wrap everything else. Once these success stories start coming out, people moving from one place to another, they're doing some good work, then wrap everything in a story. Story can move from day one. It can talk about signals, it can speak about skill programs, now it also speaks about mobility. The story is kind of a wrapper around it. The flywheel practices come online as the program scales from launch to the sustained operation. So you have a complete sequence. Start with signal, calm yourself down, skill, mobility, story. Then you have all the four practices that we discussed. Cross-functional ownership comes into play. Put that as a part of your design of the work, anti-fatigue design, build embedded accountability of the leaders, goal sheets, etc., and continuous marketing. That is how you are actually trying to create a transformation in the organization. How will this break? Usually failures कैसे होती है? You launch and then you leave. Failure. Splashy kickoff, come great meeting in some hotel, and then silence. So engagement spikes and decays. What happens with this? Future also people stop believing in you. So the fix of the organization does not remain in one such offsite that you have conducted with no tangible functional implementation. The fix lives in the flywheel. Fix lives in the continuous marketing. Fix lives in the embedded accountability and not in a bigger launch. Another way of failure, you launch it well, good, no problem, and then you hand over the responsibility to HR. Now ensure everything happens. On one side, organization is doing something which is their functional, etc., what their work is, daily priorities, issues, problems, anxieties, and HR is running like an island. So program is run entirely from within HR. Rest of the business treats it like someone else's initiative. Cross-functional ownership is the antidote. Is a problem. Sorry, not the end. Is a problem. But if you do not make this visible as a complete whole affair, it becomes a HR mess and not a transformation initiative. Second problem. The third problem is there is growth, but there is no opportunity. People are trained, their capability is there, now they feel growth, and there is no opportunity. If there is no opportunity, the new capability evaporates. And when the new capability evaporates, cynicism sets in. So, mobility must be an important part of the program. Fourth important point of failure, and that's the first point of failure, second point of failure, all points of failure is leadership. You. One function reaches near total adoption, other barely engages, or the leader at the top, like a founder or CEO, started and then went off, give it thinking now leaders will take care of it. He's not engaged, he's not involved in the whole process. Suppose development is happening of 10 people, 5 people attended first program, second could not come. He must take out time and be present when the 5 leaders are actually getting learned and they're present. He's present himself. Because if that cannot be done, your commitment towards the development is coming down. You cannot say, I gave you time on day one, now you are not available, now go do yourself on day 20. No, you can't do that. That one opportunity is so important today. So one function reaches adoption because leader was present, because he showed commitment. Where others barely engage is because leader has not shown commitment towards them. And it's very natural. If you sit in a classroom, teacher will focus everything on one student is because he's good. His pace of learning is faster than the others, and teacher is feeling more engaged while he's doing because there he's saying he's adopting, he's saying others are left behind. That happens in organizations also because we are wired like this. So you'll have to take a step back, get others along. It may slow down the whole process. It's okay. Slowing down is okay. But only going with some is not. That's not okay. So idea is that if we really want this whole engine to function of transformation, it is extremely important that you should be able to do the drivers and consistency levers properly. So idea is a transformation will show your people who you believe them to be. The growth engine is simply a disciplined way of making sure reflection is worth looking at. Is the reflection. When I said transformations mirror, actually it is like Prakash Vimash, it's like Shiv Shakti. Transformation activity is like shift, but it has to live inside the people. You cannot live it outside the people without them and letting them not be part of it. It's not possible. So when the future is uncertain and people stretch their leaders' behaviors for a clue, such leaders' behavior for a clue to their own fate. They see an organization still investing in their becoming. So it is development process is not just having nice conversations. Development process is not just it's about focused interventions. It is business imperative to have those focused interventions that decides whether the change erodes the capabilities or builds them. Talent is an important lever of any transformation initiative. You just cannot you just cannot leave it to chance. It is not possible. You will have to personally invest time and build that transformations transformations activity. Now the point is that transformation, is it only dependent on the talent? Answer is no. So there are other capability elements that we need to also function on for transformation to become real. Okay, so now how do I make, what are the other levers that I need to touch for transformation to be a real activity rather than just another program that is being run for people? Because if you're doing the first lever well of handling how the people are taken care of, then you have won the first game, but you haven't won the whole battle yet. So arc first was to handle the mirrors. The first mirror was the transformation mirror, which is the talent. The second mirror is the customer mirror, which we will deal from the next Darpan. Customer mirror basically talks about how does external market behavior has an impact on me. So what is my talent doing is dependent on how I design the whole transformation activity, which will help me do the transformation. But what transformation to make will be given by the external. So external customer I have to mirror, that is the transformation design, and my talent has to copy the design for it to be successful. But what is the customer mirror? We'll talk about it next time, and then we will speak about the synthesis mirror, the composite mirror in the subsequent darpans. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Yes, Yogesh.
Thanks for telling the elements along with the process also. So what I'm observing is that when we teach about digital transformation, it is completely the mechanical parts of it which happens. So okay, process mapping, process optimization, but here you're bringing the completely different perspective, the different elements, and which I find is very great. So last time also I requested you maybe these aspects of digital transformation wherein almost it is said that 90% of the digital transformation initiatives are failing globally. So you are a bright ray of hope wherein you also are not only proposing the theory also, but you are implementing them also and successfully doing it. So that's a very big thing. Uh, I have one complaint against you, but um transgrenization as well as Mr. Rohit Arora, in my opinion, both are miser in promoting themselves. I don't know the reason where why, because the elements that you are telling here, the story, everything is so fascinating, so great. But the corporations in the India as well as globally, I think they also need to know about the capabilities that Indians have and you have in particular. So,
We are figuring
I-
out.
yeah, yeah. So that's one part. And might be also the, I would also like to support that initiative. Maybe you can consider this initiatives, the, it is completely different perspectives than whatever I have heard and learned up and whatever we are doing about digital transformation, particularly because the soul element which you're bringing is actually very, very potent and very impactful in my opinion. So consider that. I have just one question today. Why
Yeah.
isn't this made as a, I would say, in the Indian management and technology institutes? Why is it that they are incorporating this, or what is it that will require to for them to also have these initiatives? Because Uh, there are a lot of organizations, educational institutes, particularly in India, which I know universities, because I was part of some of the initiatives for designing the syllabus also of digital transformation. But
Mhm.
this books, this initiative also, I would request you to start in that. To start with, maybe I'll come along with you at NMIMS where they have MBA digital transformation programs, wherein these people also take it ahead. Might be you can work out with them also. Just think about. I'm just these are
I'm
random thoughts which
open.
I'm putting it out.
I'm open. See, the
Mhm.
point here is that right now we are speaking and then we get busy in our lives. So that's the whole thing that getting into education system with this kind of a content is a bureaucratic hassle, right? It is a difficult thing. So it's not unless until you have a direct connection and there is a method in which you know specifically how do we influence the academia to actually take this up as a separate course without any selfish interest and selflessness. It becomes difficult. We tried with ISB and then it again failed because my language, as you all know, is very Sanskrit and very Indianized, and they
Mhm.
didn't want to use that. And so it's a lot of mental blocks also at the current stage. And I didn't want to modify my content to suit their. So it'll become more. It will okay. The spirit will remain the same, but it becomes very difficult to communicate the same spirit in the language that is used commonly by people. Now, when people start using the common language, it gets packaged in a similar way. It doesn't give any character to the whole thing. So I didn't want to compromise on the language. I didn't want to compromise the way I speak and what I speak because it will naturally come to me anyway, even if don't compromise, don't package it that way. So there are challenges, but honestly, I haven't tried also that hard. I didn't do it. So maybe the time will come. Somebody will push it and take it forward with us.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, all right. I think there are no more questions. Thank you very much. It was an interesting day with all of you. Have a good day today. And if you have still any questions, you can put down on the question and answer section or in the chat box. I'll try to answer them. See you next time with the new customers mirror to understand how that mirror impacts the transformation activity inside the organization. Thank you very much.